Bhagavad Gita classes. We are continuing from where we left off last time. If you remember, we had discussed the first session of the Mahabharata storyline. We'll continue with that. Just offer a few prayers and then we'll begin. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Shakam Vitam Cha He Krishna Kar Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Shute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpataro Vyascha Kripasindho Vyevacha Pattanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Rama Ramo Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Very, very grateful to all of you all for being here on joining us on these Gita sessions. I am extremely happy and grateful to be able to serve all of you all by sharing this knowledge. And the response and the enthusiasm with which all of you all have been participating has been quite overwhelming and also very evidently visible. So I would really like to congratulate all of you all for your excitement, enthusiasm, and desire to learn. So this probably is the best gift for any teacher when the teacher sees that there are eager students and there are very enthusiastic students. So having said that, we have today's discussion on the Bhagavad Gita. So just to summarize everything we spoke last time, this is roughly what we spoke. We started speaking about the land of India being known for her spiritual heritage, and sometimes how we take it for granted and we don't really know the inner, deeper meanings of it. And then we spoke about a little bit about the greatness of the Mahabharata the last time. And then we started the storyline of the Mahabharata, spoke about three prominent lessons: the culture of personalism, from the idea of Ganga, things being treated as persons in the Vedic culture. And then we spoke about the conditions of Ganga, how one has so many desires and the desires blind one to the conditions. And how everyone, the third thing is how everyone has a story to tell. We shouldn't judge them for their actions because there is a story that we might not know of. So far in the storyline, we spoke about, we reached till the point where Ganga decided to part from Shantanu Maharaj because Shantanu asked her a question. She gave her explanation and she decided, because you have questioned me, I'm leaving. So, of course, she took along with her the son that was born to them. His name was Dev. Dev was the original name, but he was named as Devavrata. This boy was educated by Ganga under the tutelage of Parshuram and Brahaspati. For many, many years, Ganga kept him along with her and ensured his education. We spoke about how everything good in this world comes to an end. Shantanu Maharaj had a great connect with Ganga for about 8-9 years, and that has come to an end. And everything, no matter what it is in this world, has a beginning and then has an end. After about 16 years, Ganga comes back again. One fine day, comes back to Shantanu Maharaj. And this time, Ganga returns back with her fully grown son, the dynamic Devavrata. So Devavrata is, you know, young, dynamic, intelligent, very, very capable. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Guruji.
Yeah, in case you lose me, just let me know. I probably sometimes the net goes bad.
Okay.
Yeah. So Devavrat is a very intelligent and very, very dynamic youngster, personally trained by Parshuram, extremely good in use of weapons, martial arts, in practically every single field of administration. He is very good. Ganga returns back Devavrat to Shantanu Maharaj and tells him, here's your son. And this son is extremely talented, extremely capable in every possible way. Now, the interesting part of the storyline is that Shantanu Maharaj didn't have to do anything to raise this boy. You know, the combination of Ganga and Shantanu Maharaj, this child was born, but practically Shantanu didn't have to do anything to raise the child. Raising a child is not easy, isn't it? I mean, to have any child grow, first 5 years are fun, but beyond the 5 years of fun, it's all very, very intense and very, very complicated. I mean, I know so many people who have teenage kids, and the struggles are pretty intense, isn't it? Now imagine someone, taking full responsibility of the child, and then finally, when the fruit comes, young, capable boy is there. She's coming and handing over. Shantanu Maharaj is obviously excited. He was very happy and grateful that he got a son who is capable of being the next ruler, and he was very much grateful to Ganga for taking care of him and taking care of all the childhood issues and the growth related issues of the child. There are two duties of a parent. There is a secondary responsibility of a parent and there's a primary responsibility of a parent. What is the secondary responsibility and primary responsibility? The secondary responsibility of the parent is providing food, providing clothing, providing shelter, providing education, providing all the basic needs. That's the secondary responsibility of a parent. What's the primary responsibility of a parent? Have you ever thought of what is the primary responsibility? So a lot of people actually consider the secondary responsibilities their primary responsibilities, unfortunately. So I'm going to tell you all two small stories. And through these two small stories, I'm going to tell you all something that will explain what is the primary responsibility of a parent. I hope I'm audible and clear. The video is streaming well. Somewhere I'm finding your videos a little hazy.
Yes, Prabhuji, you're loud and clear, and the slides are also great.
Super. Thank you. So many years back in America, there was this a very interesting phase that in American history that probably is one of the most spoken about phases in the world. This is the time when Japan and America were in a fight. So there was a ship that America had. This was a warship. It was a massive warship, and this warship had practically so many airplanes on it and so much ammunition on it. It was actually the pride of the country. And at a particular point, the warship was actually empty because all the planes on the warship had taken off to go and bombard Japan. And literally on that warship, there were just two flights, two fighter planes left. And those two were left because of some technical reasons. there was some issue because of which the planes couldn't take off. And that's what they were like under maintenance basically. So while these two planes were there and their pilots were taking care of the planes, suddenly these two pilots, they saw that 9 Japanese planes were attacking their warship. And it was actually a calamity. Now, it was probably one of the most disastrous events that could have happened in the war. And the two of them, they had absolutely no idea what to do because their planes were not in the best conditions. And there were just two of them, and they were being attacked by 9 different planes. And plus, their machinery in the airplane was not working well. They had 2 options. One option was to run away, save their lives, because practically there was hardly anything they could do. Second option was to try. These two guys decided we're going to try. They sat on their planes, took off, and they tried attacking the Japanese planes. Somehow, after a lot of struggle, they managed to pull down a couple of airplanes. 2 or 3 airplanes they managed to pull down. And then one of the airplanes, the American airplanes, it completely, it stopped functioning literally. So they had to go down. And there's only one guy. Imagine there's only one plane, and there were about 6, 7 of their enemy planes left. And this one guy relentlessly trying his best. At some point, his ammunition got over, and this guy, he was just ramming into the planes of the enemies, the wings of the enemy planes, just somehow. And when the Japanese planes saw this guy attacking so rampantly and so powerfully, they thought there were many people attacking them, and they actually retreated. They actually left, and that's how this warship, this American warship, was saved. And this man who actually did it, who was the hero of the war on that day, his name was Butch O'Hare. If any of you all have visited Chicago, the Chicago International Airport is named after this man. O'Hare International Airport, is named after this guy. So this is one story I'm telling. I'm going to tell you another story which is connected to this. I'll tell you all the connections later. In American history, there was this man called Easy Eddie. If any of you all have seen this movie called Godfather, Easy Eddie was the lawyer of that fellow who was called Godfather. So there was this American Don whose name was Alcatraz, Alcapod. His name was Alcapod. And this American Don was one of the most powerful people in the world at that point of time, controlling the mafia, controlling smuggling, controlling the entire drug traffic industry. And Al Capone was scot-free. Nobody imprisoned him. Nobody sentenced him. He was not in any kind of trouble legally. Why? Because he had this lawyer, Easy Eddie. And Easy Eddie managed to pull out Al Capone of any calamity, any problem that he faced. That's how Al Capone, saved himself all the time. And Easy Eddie was naturally awarded so much money just to, make sure that this guy is out. So over a period of time, Easy Eddie became rich, fabulously rich, had a mansions, had so many cars, all the luxuries one could dream of. One day, his son, Easy Eddie, had a young teenage boy. His son came to him and he told him, "Father, I hate you." Imagine, any parent whose child comes up to him or her and says, "I hate you." That's like very, very, very intense, very tough to handle. So Easy Eddie just got completely bewildered. He said, "Why would you say that? I've done everything possible for you. I'm giving you so much. I was going every day in a new car, and you have so much. I'm giving the best of education, the best of clothes, the best of everything. Why are you saying that you hate me?" You know what this boy said? This boy told his father, Easy Eddie, that yes, you've given me everything, but when I go to school, all my friends make fun of me because they say that I am the son of a criminal who's protecting, a don. So he says, I don't like being called all that, you know. And easy AD, that day he understood what is the primary responsibility of a parent. So the secondary responsibility is providing food, providing clothes, providing shelter, providing, you know, all kinds of resources and all that. But the primary responsibility of a parent is to provide a good example. There's nothing more important that a parent can do other than provide a good example. So here, Ganga and Shantanu, they're raising a child. But Ganga, what she did for the child was something so important. Every parent must think of providing a good example. Easy Eddie, that day, you know what he decided? He decided that he's going to expose alcohol. This man actually went up to the courts and exposed alcohol completely. Every single crime he has done, he brought it to pay on paper. And alcohol was sentenced to a life imprisonment in an island jail. For the rest of his life, he lived there. And that very night, Easy Eddie was found dead, body filled with bullets. He was dead because he was killed by the people of Alcapod. But you know what the interesting thing is? Why did I tell you all these two stories? The first story, Butch O'Hare story, is very much connected to the Easy Eddie story. You know how? Butch O'Hare was the son of Easy Eddie. The father, he set an example, you know, by exposing this Don. And the son actually took that example so much to heart. The father sacrificed his life for bringing justice, right? So Butch O'Hare actually took that example of his father very seriously. And he himself sacrificed his life for the sake of the country. And he learned something valuable from his father. So Ganga actually, she did something that no mother and no father today can do. What is the thing that she did as her contribution to her son? The most important thing that she did as her contribution was she actually gave a great example to Devavrata. And you will find throughout the life of Devavrata, the example that his mother gave and whatever his mother has taught actually helped him live a life of great character, great values, and great integrity. And that's what, you know, Devavrata actually represents throughout the Mahabharata. So Devavrata was appointed as the heir to the throne of Hastinapur. Shantanu Maharaj is very, very happy living his life with his son. And Ganga obviously went back to the spiritual realms. In the meanwhile, Shantanu Maharaj, one day, he was traveling. And while he was traveling, he came across an amazing fragrance. Never in his life he has smelled something that was so fragrant. He was amazed by the fragrance that he was inhaling in the middle of a forest. And as Shantanu Maharaj was inhaling this fragrance, he was madly searching after the source of this fragrance. As he walked around searching desperately for the source of this fragrance, at some point he came across a boat. And on this boat was seated an extremely beautiful girl from whose body this fragrance was emanating. Shantanu Maharaj approached this girl. Her name was Satyawati, and she was the daughter of a fisherman, of a king among fishermen, basically, like a fisherman community. So Satyawati was the princess or whatever you can call it, a tribal chief's daughter. Shantanu Maharaj was immediately attracted towards her, and he walked up to her and he proposed to her, said, "Will you like to marry me? I am the king of Sinapur. The entire land belongs to me." Now Satyavati, she said, you know, she was quite amazed that the king of the land actually is wanting to marry her. But she said, you have to ask my father. The king, his desperation, he was somehow wanted to marry her. And the father of Satyavati, he put a condition for the marriage. The condition that he put for the marriage was that his daughter can marry him provided her son will be the next king. Now, this was a conflict for Shantanu Maharaj. Why? Because Shantanu had already declared Bhishma as the heir to the throne, and he was the first son. It would be a total injustice on Bhishma, on Devavrata, who was a son of Shantanu and Ganga, if Satyawati's son, whoever was going to be born, is made the king. Now, this man, Shantanu Maharaj, was completely lost. He was totally bewildered. You know, a lot of decisions in life are made like this. Many of us, we fall uh, weak in front of temptations. Whenever we get strong, powerful temptations that actually convince us that this is what is more important for me than anything else. When those temptations are very powerful and very strong, that is the time we fall weak in front of those temptations. And those temptations become more powerful than us. And they take over our decision making. They take over our minds. And we get obsessed by certain thoughts and desires. Look at Shantanu Maharaj here. I mean, he has a teenage son now. He's like 17, 18-year-old boy. And suddenly now Shantanu Maharaj is being attracted to a young girl and he wants to marry her. And again, the father has put conditions. In Shantanu's life, these conditions are very, very strong and powerful. If you remember the first marriage, Ganga had put a condition. Now the second marriage, Satyawati's father is putting a condition. And when Shantanu Maharaj hears conditions, he says, no, nothing doing. I don't want any conditions. I'm walking away if there are conditions, basically. He just can't handle any more conditions. Here, Shantanu Maharaj, he returns back to the kingdom. But he is very, very sad. He is very, very disturbed. You know why he is disturbed? Though he comes back saying no, in his heart, he is not able to say no. A lot of us, in our heads, we say no to something, but in our hearts, we are not able to say no to it. I know so many people who are diabetes patients. Logically, they understand they can't eat sweets. In the head, they all said no. No sweets, no sweet, no sweet. But in their heart, they can't say no. They're not able to say no. A lot of times, when temptations come in front of us, there's a conflict between the head and the heart. The head says no because it's easy to be logical in many aspects. Logic is very clear many times, actually. But the problem is the heart. Satyawati was a very ambitious girl. And so was her father. Imagine, who were they? They were in a fisherman community. But yet, they desired the throne of Hastinapur. Now, that's not an ordinary desire. It's not a normal desire. Of course, anybody can have any desire. But the question is, how much we should desire should actually be limited by who we are also. Shantanu Maharaj is telling Satyawati that we should only desire what fits into our two hands. God has created two hands, and within these two hands, what fits in, that's what we should aspire for. We shouldn't aspire for anything more than this. But Satyavati's interpretation of what one should desire for is very different. You know what Satyavati says? Satyavati tells Shantanu Maharaj, we have two eyes. These two eyes are small. But if you look up, you can see the entire sky with these two eyes. So she says, God has not created two hands just to hold that much only. God has created two eyes. And how much ever we can see with our two eyes, we can desire that much. Very clear difference in natures, right from the beginning. Very clear difference in the value systems, right from the beginning. Imagine, here is a marriage that is happening, that is about to take place between two people. And look at the difference in ideologies. Such a massive difference in ideologies. And here, they're thinking of coming together, not so much because their ideologies match, not so much because their values match, not so much because the principles and belief systems match, simply because there is attraction on a bodily level. There's attraction on an external level. A lot of relationships are struggling simply because of a clash of value systems, of a clash of cultures. Shantanu Maharaj, he said, no, I can't do this. For my ambition, I can't let my kingdom down. For my ambition, I cannot let my first son down. For my ambition, I cannot be unfair to others. Shantanu Maharaj said, no, sorry, and he walked out. But after he walked back to his palace, he kept thinking about her all the time. His heart was like really in pain. And Shantanu Maharaj became like a typical Majnu character, Devdas, Majnu, all that in the original version of it 5,000 years back was Shantanu Maharaj. And he's drinking and completely in a different transcendental world, not a transcendental, I would say uh, mental world. That's a better word, probably. He is in a totally different world, parallel world he went into. Not bothering about the kingdom, not bothering about his responsibilities, just staying in a dark room and drinking constantly. It's very interesting why people drink in dark rooms. Because a lot of important decisions of life are made in darkness. In fact, a lot of people make the worst decisions of life in dark environments. If you ever wondered why pubs and discos are dark, gambling dens are dark inside, and classrooms are bright, lot of light, classrooms always bright. If you have seen, at least it should be bright, pubs and discos always dark. And gyms, if you go to gyms, you'll find pictures of people with powerful muscles, all over the gym. And you go to a dentist's clinic, you'll find people with big nice sibaka smile, and all their teeth is shining, glittering. Why do you think all this is created? Why do you think all these posters are put up? And what do you think? Because the environment makes a big difference in the way you experience things, in the way you actually decide. In gambling dens, the environment is created to be dark so that you don't think much. In a dark environment where there is no light, your thinking gets clouded also. And in a bright environment, when there is a lot of light, you can think more wisely. Shantanu Maharaj was sad, disturbed, very, very badly shaken up. And his son Devavrata was very intelligent, young boy, but you could make out his father is actually losing it. For Devavrata, when Devavrata saw his father struggle, he realized it is important that the king be stable. If the leader is stable, then the kingdom will be stable and the people will be prosperous, will be happy. So it is important that I help my father become stable. To help my father become stable, I need to find out what is the cause of trouble that he has. So Devavrata began to backtrace and find out what exactly caused the problem to Shantanu Maharaj. And when Devavrata backtraced the problem, he realized that Shantanu had fallen in love with Satyawati. And Satyawati's father had put a condition for the marriage that the son of Satyawati will be the next king. Devavrata realized that until and unless the king is stable, the kingdom cannot be stable. He said, whatever it takes, I will try to make my father peaceful. Mahabharata has some strange stories. Usually, normal situation is that the father is thinking how to make son happy. That's what normally happens in life, right? But here, the son is thinking how to make father happy. Technically, at this age, the son should fall in love, and the father will be thinking whether this girl is suitable or no. But here in the Mahabharata, the father has fallen in love, and the son is thinking whether the girl is suitable for him to be his stepmother or no. Very strange story. The strangeness of the story also talks about the power of desires. Satyavati, her desire, her father's desire. Shantanu Maharaj, his desire at this age. And Devavrata, his desire to sacrifice at this age. All these desires are having their own roles in this particular story. And Devavrata, he decides to do something that has never been done in the past. Devavrata decides, I'm going to make a sacrifice for the sake of my father. He tells Satyawati's father that I promise you, I will not sit on the throne of Hastinapur. Let the sons of Satyawati become the next king. Satyawati's father, he was not even satisfied with that. He said, you may not sit on the throne, but what if your sons sit on the throne and they claim the throne? Devavrata instantly said, I will not marry only. I will not marry and live lifelong life of celibacy. And instantly he took a vow in front of the sun, in front of the moon, in front of all the stars, invoking the 8 directions, invoking all the gods. He took a vow of lifelong celibacy. Now, taking vows of lifelong celibacy is not a big deal. So many great sages in the past and present and in the future take vows of lifelong celibacy. That's not a big deal. But what is a big deal is a Kshatriya doing that. Bhishma was a Kshatriya. He was not a sage. He was not born to be a sage. He was a Kshatriya. He was born to be a king. And for a Kshatriya to take a vow like this is actually a big thing. And because Devavrata took a vow which was so powerful, lifelong vow of celibacy, and he said, I'll never marry, I'll never sit on the throne of Hastinapur. When he took that vow, the sky reverberated, thunder and lightning. And there was actually a voice, a celestial voice that said, Bhishma, Bhishma, Bhishma. What is the meaning of the word Bhishma? The word Bhishma means great vow. Bhishma Pratigya, it's called. Yeah? It's one of the most powerful vows. It's a Bhishma. So from that time onwards, Devavrata's name becomes Bhishma. And when the father comes to know what the son has done, Shantanu Maharaj is so amazed by the ability of his son to take a vow like that, make such a huge sacrifice for the sake of the happiness of his father and for the kingdom's welfare. Shantanu Maharaj actually gave Bhishma a blessing. You know what blessing he gave? He gave Bhishma the blessing of Ichha Mrityu. He told Bhishma, I give you the blessing that you can die when you want. Ichha Mrityu. Imagine, Shantanu had the ability to give such a blessing. That means Shantanu also is powerful, isn't it? I mean, for people like you and me, we will say 100 different things. You'll get Ichha Mrityu. Nothing happens. That guy dies the next day only. So for people like you and me, these words, it doesn't make any difference. What words come out from our mouth have no meaning. Like a lot of people, they hurl curses at others, and we feel scared. Arey, this was cursed me like that. Don't worry. In Kali Yuga, none of the curses work because people don't have substance. They don't have stuff in them to even speak such curses and for those curses to have actual meaning. But when Shantanu Maharaj spoke it actually worked. And Bhishma actually got this power of Ichha Mrityu. You'll see that at the end of the Mahabharata, literally, Bhishma chooses what time to die. He chooses his time of departure due to the blessing of his father. One of the most powerful things that we can learn from Bhishma is this word itself. Bhishma means terrible vow. It actually indicates determination. Now, all of us make vows, right? From time to time. Every New Year, 1st of Jan, so many people make vows. Oh my God, every single person in the world makes some vow or the other. And 99.9% of the vows get broken the very next day. Not even the third day, very next day, the vows get broken. Now, if there is something you can learn from Bhishma, it's this: how to be determined about maintaining your resolve. It's such an important thing. You know what happens to all of us in our lives? We make promises and we break our own promises. You know what is the result of we breaking our own promises? The result of we breaking our own promises is that we lose faith in ourselves. When we break promises, others lose faith in us. That is one thing. But the reality also is that I lose confidence in myself. because I only feel I am useless. I may take some vow, but I'm sure I'm not going to keep it, basically. So over a period of time, every time we make a promise and we don't turn up there, we're actually, seeing ourselves. We are kind of falling down in our own eyes. Every time you make a promise, I will be there at 4:30, and this guy is waiting till 5 o'clock. This guy is not turned up only. IST means Indian stretchable time. Absolutely no regard for time. Most Indians, I mean, at least a lot of people in the Western world do have regard for time. India, it's like very free, time stretches like anything, basically. So every time we break our own promise, we are falling in our own eyes. And every time we keep a promise that we have made, it may not even be a promise that we made somebody else. It's a promise that we made ourselves. Every time we keep our own promise, we're actually rising in our own eyes. And that's one of the most important factors connected with self-esteem. So Bhishma takes a vow, which is a vow of great determination, a vow of great, integrity and great strength. Now, something interesting happens in the Mahabharata. Shantanu Maharaj, so far, from he married Ganga, and from Ganga he gets this son named Devavrata Bhishma. Then after that, Shantanu Maharaj marries Satyawati, and through Satyawati, Shantanu Maharaj gets two sons. The first son is named Chitrangada and Chitrangada, and the second son is named as Vichitravirya. These are two sons born to Shantanu and Satyavati. As Bhishma promised, he doesn't want to sit on the throne. So naturally, these two other guys, Chitrangada and Vichitravirya, they are the ones who are potential candidates. So once Chitrangada and Vichitravirya are born, Shantanu Maharaj dies. So now the equation is a very simple equation now. Devavrata or Bhishma is there. He cannot sit on the throne anymore because he is already taken the vow of lifelong celibacy, and he also promised that he'll never sit on the throne of Hastinapur. And here, Satyavati has two sons, Chitrangada and Vichitravirya. Now, Chitrangada is a very powerful warrior, very, very capable administrator, very, very capable person. One day, Chitrangada, he comes across a very interesting situation in his life. What happens is, there is a Gandharva whose name is also Chitrangada. So this Gandharva comes to know that there's a person on earth whose name is Chitrangada, potential king of Hastinapur. The Gandharva says, how can there be two Chitrangadas simultaneously alive? It's like, if two people have Instagram handle, same name, it's always confusing, right? Who is the original guy, That's why you have this verifying, blue tick, basically. Now, this Chitrangada from the Gandharva Loka, he was a very famous guy. And this guy down, the Earth planet, he was also becoming very famous because he was a powerful warrior. So this fellow on top became insecure. The Gandharva on top. It doesn't matter whether you're on top or below, you are all human beings are insecure only. So Chitrangada from the Gandharva Loka came to the Chitrangada from the Earth planet, and he said, I want to fight with you. Why? What is the reason for the fight? You have the same name as me. What a problem is it, right? In this world, even if you don't do anything, somebody will find some reason to fight with you. What has this guy done? Nothing he did. His father and mother named him Chitrangada. It's not even his fault, right? Just because he has a name Chitrangada, the fellow from somewhere else is coming, that too from another planet, is coming to fight against him. Don't expect peace in this world. There will always be someone who will find some reason to fight against you. Even if you're a Libran, you can't be peaceful. Usually Libra guys are very peaceful guys. They love peace. They don't want fighting and all that. But the nature of this world is that there will be conflicts. It is bound to happen. The guy on top, Chitrangada, comes and challenges the fellow on the earth. And the fight is so bad. Eventually, the son of Shantanu and Satyavati, Chitrangada, dies. dies. He is gone, eliminated from this world. Now Satyawati has only one son, Vichitravirya. The story of the Mahabharata gets more complicated from this point. The lesson, a very important lesson that we can learn from this story, is how the disease of comparison, it leaves you so dissatisfied in life. How can you compare yourself with anybody else? Each one of us are unique creations of God. There is no one like you. There's no one who has the same fingerprint like you, isn't it? There are no two butterflies that have the exact same pattern on their wing. There are no two zebras that have the exact same stripes. There are no two cheetahs that have the exact same dot patterns. Every single thing in this world, every single person in this world is unique. The problem is when we compare ourselves with somebody else. Comparison gives rise to envy. And the nature of envy is that it doesn't leave you peaceful. It doesn't leave you satisfied. The nature of envy is that the person who is envious loses sleep. That's the nature of envy. And unfortunately, in this world, we are, especially the social media, where we project ourselves to others. It makes others so insecure. It makes others so envious of you. You go to a holiday to Maldives or Mauritius or anywhere else, and then you put photos. You are putting photos to express your joy. But when others look at the photos, they don't experience the same joy. What they experience is envy. When you project what you have to the world, and especially when you project it to 70% of the people who can't afford it, you create a system of creating envy on a mass scale. So the entire social media is actually creating envy on a mass scale. Every time you look at somebody else who's having more than you, it's not that you're happy. Most of the times people are envious. They're not happy at others' progress. They're not happy at others, success and growth and joy. And no, that's not what envy does to you. The nature of the envy is to burn. Just like you're holding burning coal in your hand, you're holding that burning coal so that you can throw it on somebody else. But before you throw it on somebody else, it will burn your hand, isn't it? Unfortunately, we don't realize that. We are holding burning coal in our hand just so that I can throw it on that fellow's face and burn his face. But in the process, I'm holding it in my hand and burning my own fingers. Unfortunately, the nature of envy is it doesn't allow you to sleep unless the person you're envious of is destroyed. I'm sure all of you all make upma in your life, right? Or you've eaten at least upma. Now, upma is a very simple breakfast item, one of the simplest breakfast items. But the interesting thing about upma or any other food for that matter is that every ingredient has to be put in a particular quantity only. If you put a little more of one particular ingredient, the food doesn't taste any better. It actually gets worse. Imagine if all the ingredients in the upma have a discussion and rava and sabjis, chili and kothmir and kadi patta, they're all having discussions. How much I am important in upma? And Rava says, I am most importantly. See how much 1 kilo they put on me only. And if imagine the chili says, no, I am equally important. I'll make sure they put 1 kilo of me. Imagine putting 1 kilo chili in upma. You're dead, right? From all sides, fire will come out, all the 9 holes. And that's the reality of life. If chili is in a particular quantity, salt is in a particular quantity, it enhances taste. But if the quantity increases, it actually makes it disgusting. The same thing with human beings. All of us have unique contributions to make in society. And all of us have a particular uniqueness, which is us, which actually represents us. The more we live life based on our uniqueness, rather than comparing ourselves with somebody else, the more peaceful we are. And the more there's peace in society. The more we try to compare with somebody else's uniqueness, more miserable we are. Because that's not us. That's not who we are. That's not what our potential is. That's not what our strength is. That's not what we are created for. And recognizing this is a secret of peace. Recognizing this is a secret of harmony and peace in society. At this point in time in the storyline of the Mahabharata, we find Bhishma not qualified to sit on the throne. We find Satyavati's husband Shantanu Maharaj is dead and gone. The first son of Satyavati, Chitrangada, is dead for an unnecessary reason, though he is very qualified to be the king. And the second son, Vichitravirya, is left. But this guy has another problem. Very, very different type of problem, because of which the Mahabharata gets even more complicated. What their problem is and how they deal with it, we'll discuss the next time. Hare Krishna. Stop here. Any questions, comments, discussions, please?